Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to the Crystal Lee's Chance channel. And today's video is a chancer chat, and these chats are just me wanting to shift your mind when it comes to certain questions, topics, ways of thinking and ways of behaving in this world. And today's reflection question is, are you really becoming someone new, or are you just recognizing who you have always been? And with that reflection question said or asked, you can pause and think about it, or you can jump right into the chat. You can grab some cold coffee, warm coffee, tea, whatever you need, because we're gonna be here for a while, so make yourself cozy. In my past videos, when I've done chats like this, I've always mentioned that every single thing that you need, you are born with. Every skill, all the knowledge and the behavior and the mechanisms needed to function in this world, you are born with. But how is that possible? How is it possible for a child to be equipped with all the skill and knowledge to really function in this crazy society? It's hard to realize because we see children as these little innocent beings that don't even know how to walk. So how can they possibly function in the society, since we have, as we are in this world, we've seen the darkness, we've seen some of the problems that it has, and then you see this innocent life come and you're like, I need to protect them. I need to do every single thing in my power to protect them. I genuinely believe that the people we meet in this world, whether it be our parents, our teachers, our friends that we choose, and then random strangers that we see, are already divine connections and moments in our life that are meant to happen to help us. Unfortunately, the human experience probably has not been the best on them. And if they have not gone through the proper ways of healing, of coping, of actually addressing some things that have happened to them, the way they guide others may not be the best way. And so when we're guiding the younger people who have not yet had this hands-on experience, we can shelter them from really figuring it out themselves, and in sheltering them, it makes it harder for them to trust themselves. Trauma aside, like bad experience aside, the world does work in boxes. From your career to your sexuality, you are put in a box to be more understandable to everyone else around you, even more understandable to yourself. If we are just living our best life and doing the things that we want freely, but then we are told that our thoughts, behaviors, dreams are wrong because they don't fit in those boxes that society works in. Of course, we're not going to believe that what we're doing is right. We're going to believe that everything that we naturally do is wrong and should be changed to fit in these palatable boxes, palatable categories in life. Even if we see slight signs of our greatness, we are always questioning, well, it doesn't fit in the box of greatness. It doesn't fit in the box that is already dictated to be or directed to be success. So how can this be my greatness if it's not the greatness defined by all? It leads us to question and deny ourselves, our own greatness. On the positive side of that, the denying and questioning of our greatness, our skill and our success and our actual natural course in this world starts to dissipate when we take a beat, when we start to heal some of the experiences that we've had, when we start to say, no, I'm not going to listen to you, when we literally start to say, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want, when we start to say, I don't think that feels right anymore, when we start to shed and unlearn the things that we've been taught to fit in, we start to recognize our greatness. We start to practice trusting ourselves, and questioning of our greatness starts to go away because we start trusting ourselves. And because we start trusting ourselves, we start to open up ourselves to the universe for signs that align to who we are supposed to be. What do you mean by opening ourselves to the universe? And how do we start questioning or unquestioning, or stop questioning and stop denying our greatness? These are great questions. Let me explain. The how to stop questioning or denying your greatness and deny that you are like a bomb-ass person and that you really are that person is to unlearn. Is to unlearn all the things that you were taught to not recognize your greatness. In my experience of going to therapy and unlearning conditioning, I have realized that once you start unlearning some of the conditioning that you have, your memory actually starts to unlock. So trauma, bad experiences, teachings actually close your mind off to those painful pieces so that you know you do fit in, so that you don't stray from the status quo. It helps you. It keeps you with blinders on. But when you start to unshed, you remove those blinders and you start to remember. You start to remember and have flashbacks, good ones, not just like PTSD ones, but good memories that remind you, hey, I have always been this way, and then you can trace it back to some of your behaviors today. What I mean by that is one of my memories that has come back to me while shifting into the person that I've always wanted to be is one where I was in a daycare. And in daycare, I remember there was a Polaroid of me, because my mom loved taking pictures. There was a Polaroid of me sitting in the corner at a table, eating breakfast and just staring at other children. And I was like, okay, that's strange. I'm by myself. I'm eating. What the heck? Well, I learned that at that time, teachers were confused by me because I would always sit by myself and look at others, very, very quiet. I wouldn't play with anybody. I would just sit there, be quiet in my own, and just stare at others. It was thought that I had a problem and I was on an autism spectrum. No one said autism spectrum, but growing up, I'm realizing it was like the autism spectrum. And I remember another memory that came back with that was me going to this place so they can do a lot of tests on me to see like my brain function and behavioral status or whatever. And I passed, like I'm fine. It just so happened that I was just doing my own thing. I was literally just sitting there and figuring out other people, just watching them and seeing how they function, seeing how they play, and then making the decision of whether or not I want to be included, I want to participate, so on and so forth. There were other times that I was actually the opposite of this behavior, where I was extremely extroverted, loud and talkative and just running around, very energetic. And even then they were like, okay, you're doing too much. I'm like, first I was doing too little, now I'm doing too much, make up your mind. And I'm learning about myself now as a 27-year-old that that's just how my energy works. My energy works in extremes. I can be extremely extroverted or extremely introverted, and that was very prevalent when I was little. However, people look at kids and they think they should act a certain way to fit into what other kids are doing. I don't know. I don't remember if it was verbally said to me about that. But even as a kid, we are so perceptive to the energies around us, to the behaviors, and we can even catch up on like body movement. And I probably was eavesdropping. I don't know. But I just remember assimilating to behaviors that I knew were acceptable. I was a child, but I somehow became a people pleaser because community and wanting to fit in is still one of those things that everyone desires. And even as a kid, I saw that I had that need, and I wanted that need to be met. And so I assimilated to the behaviors that were more acceptable. I remember adapting to behaviors that I deemed and saw that were safe, that weren't called out, that weren't looked at as weird or rude or just different. I believe the term is masking, and that is for anybody who is neurodivergent, who thinks a certain way, who has a different brain wiring. They try to seem normal. And that's what I did. I was masking. My whole life since I was little, I have been masking. Fun stuff. I remember overthinking after every social interaction, even during the social interaction, if I was saying too much, saying too little. After the interaction, replaying the whole interaction in my head and figuring out what I can do better next time. Like little tick marks, little lessons that I've learned through each interaction. I felt like an alien trying to assimilate to human culture. Like thinking back on it, it's like, yes, the human seems to not talk at a high tone. Yes, I'll learn that. And that's what I basically did. I spent so much energy making sure that I wasn't myself. I was making sure that I was acceptable and palatable to other people. This made me very adaptable to also just social situations and making sure I knew to be who I had to be in that specific situation to feel safe, to feel blended in, to feel not called out. In addition, I will add that in Black culture, it is very rude, or any culture of people of color, because I've had Spanish friends who had the same kind of behaviors when you're meeting somebody. It was deemed to be rude to not speak to people. You can say hi when you walk in, but if you don't speak to people, if you're not sociable, you're deemed as rude, as disrespectful, and like you're just casted out. So even though my vibe at the time, going to a family event or a big group event, I wanted to just chill out and not talk and just be a part of the group and not be a part of the group, I couldn't do that, because in doing so, it would just draw more attention to me. It would show me as being rude again and not being sociable and probably not being invited out again, which thinking back on it, if that happens to me now, I'm like, well, I don't want to be there anyway. But back then, again, that sense of community was really something that I wanted and needed. And so I made sure to be the vibe that I needed to be to continue to have those interactions and be invited out. And this same behavior was something I saw in myself, and something that was even more like doubled down in a career setting, in a job setting, especially with me because I work in corporate. Anyway, this kind of behavior and masking and assimilating became even more prevalent when alcohol was introduced into my life. Let me explain. Alcohol, I've learned, releases dopamine. And I remember taking a shot and just feeling, this is great. I remember feeling happy. And I remember always telling my friend, I'm not drunk, I'm happy. Girl. Alcohol also helps people not give a fuck, right? So that being happy and not caring, two great feelings, but unfortunately they came with liquor that has other impacts on how you behave. I remember drinking and literally just acting a fool, and through talking about these interactions with my therapist, I realized that I wasn't necessarily behaving that way because I was drunk, right? I was intoxicated and I was inebriated to a certain point, but I wasn't like fall over drunk. It just, alcohol helped me not care about my extreme vibes, my extreme behavior. So if I wanted to be extroverted, I would drink, and I wouldn't care to be extroverted. I wouldn't care to overthink my interactions. I wouldn't care to overthink what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, what I'm doing. I would just drink and be who I wanted to be sober, but allow myself to do it because I was drunk or because I was drinking and had alcohol in my system. Because I was that extroverted person that I wasn't always sober while I was drunk, it made me seem like a drunk alcoholic, and I was called out on that a lot. Like, people love to call out your negative behaviors before they call out their own. So a lot of people would always say, oh, Crystal's a drinker, Crystal can drink, she drinks a lot, Crystal's drunk. And I'm like, okay, that's not fun to feel. But anyway, that's a whole different talk. But right now we're talking about behaviors. Thinking of my interactions socially would go away. However, when I sobered up, I would remember every single thing that happened that night. Like, and not that I blacked out a lot, but when I'm sober, that anxiety of fitting in would come back even more extreme. And I'm like, oh my God, I did some stupid shit. If I was the regular me, I wouldn't have said any of that, done any of that. I would have been normal. I would have said the normal thing. And this became like a cycle of me regretting being who I've always been, but loving me being able to be who I always wanted to be through alcohol, and then going around in that vicious cycle. What helped me stop, because I was in therapy and talking through this a lot, what helped me stop is to see who the people I was assimilating to really were. Like who I was trying to impress, who I was trying to fit in with. Seeing them as who they are and realizing, one, no one is extending the same thinking, the same behaviors towards me as I was with them. Meaning they probably weren't overthinking who they were, because they were some shit ass people and didn't worry about being some shitty ass people. But me, I was always worried about not being shitty, not being too nice, not being too mean over and over again. And I'm realizing I am doing the most for the least reciprocated things. So there are probably people around me who felt the same way. But for me, looking at the predominant amount of people who really were just shitty people who I was trying to fit in with or who I was trying to assimilate with so they wouldn't call me out on who I am. Come on now. When I realized that, I was like, oh, you're doing the most, girl. You're doing the most. And so I stopped. The second thing I realized is fuck them. Like, fuck them. Because they didn't care about me. Because those same people who always wanted me around, I think, used me to project or to not realize how bad they were. The same people who were calling me alcoholic, drunk, or saying, oh, Crystal did this, Crystal do that. I'm like, you're no better than me, bro. Like, you have some demons in your closet when it comes to alcohol or not alcohol. You have some behaviors that aren't always acceptable too, but you don't seem to care about that. You don't seem to care about your own behavior because you're too busy worried about me. And to be honest, I was too busy worrying about me fitting in with you. Those two things make sense, right? So I was looking at who and why. Like, look at you. And I guess a full judgment, because I know you're not supposed to judge people, but you should be aware of who you are around and who they actually are. And I'm not saying that no other person was doing what I was doing, which was masking, but I'm just saying, like, why was I masking? That was a reflection question. Why am I doing this? I ask myself constantly now with every event, every meetup, every social event, I'm like, am I able to show up fully as me as I am in this moment? Meaning, if my energy level is low, but I still want to kind of be around people, just not low meaning rude or angry or sad, like those kind of feelings will make me stay home. But I mean, like, if I'm not really feeling that extroverted, but I still want to go out and be a part of an event, am I okay to do that and not be cast out, like not be seen as rude? If I'm allowed to show up fully as me, those are the people or the things that I want to go to fully. I don't want to limit myself because they're the group, that's the event that's going to accept me, and that's really cool. I asked, does this event or these people require me to not be myself? Because I do still have those behaviors that make me mask, and I don't want to do that anymore. And the one way for me not to do that anymore is to not be around people, places, and things that make me do that. And I know you can practice doing it and being who you are without caring. I'm not there yet, and this is how I work on that. Anyway, moving on, because we're going to close it up and wrap this up so it all makes sense. So 3 questions I want you to ask yourself if you're trying to unlearn and to shed some of the conditioning and to really truly be yourself are: do I have energy for this thing? Does this environment fully allow me to be who I am? Do the people I surround myself allow me to be who I am? And these reflection questions aren't only for those people and those events, it's for yourself too. Because I know that since I've been conditioned to fit in, I have judged others for standing out. I have been that person to look at somebody and be like, you are an alien, you don't belong here. And I have most likely been that negative impact on another person like it was on me, because it's just a domino effect of what we learn. It's kind of like a 360 awareness. It's a 360 healing, because you're not always going to be the good person in a story. And you need to understand that, whether you meant to or not. Yeah. Coffee break. Take a sip. I'm about to wrap this up. Yeah, I said that like twice already, but I swear we're going to wrap it up like right now. So I already went over the how to start trusting yourself. Now it's time for the what. As in, what do I mean by trusting yourself and then opening up yourself to the universe? Like, am I opening myself up to be abducted? Kinda. Let me explain. Oh God. The reflection questions I stated before about talking to yourself and asking yourself about your energy level, about the people you surround yourself with, about the events that you allow yourself to go to, those are all questions so you can self-reflect and start talking to yourself to better the relationship you have with yourself. Because those conditionings and unlearnings have taught us to be so far removed from who we are that we really don't know the relationship that we have with ourselves. Those questions are to practice feeling the ebb and flow of your own energy. And through this practice, you'll be able to feel what feels good, what feels bad. I understand labeling things is not always the best, but in the starting practice, I believe it's a good way to start. You are able to feel yes, like you're able to feel like a supercharged yes or a supercharged no, and go with that without hesitating, without questioning yourself at all. That's your intuition. You become more in tune with your intuition when you don't allow external factors to dictate it, and you are bringing everything internal and feeling it that way. My intuition has strengthened so much when it comes to listening to my body and the things it needs. And I will say my healthy intuition connection has come from unlearning and untrusting, because you can have an unhealthy connection to your intuition, which again is another talk. And it just helps me trust myself even more, because I know what's right for me. My body knows what's right for it, and it will always let you know what's happening, what's up, what it's feeling, but it's up to you to listen. So now you have learned to trust your intuition, right? With this, allow signs from the universe to come in. So I know I said that intuition allows you to not have external factors dictate like how you feel, and I mean people, places, and things, like material things. When it comes to signs from the universe will always speak to you in the way that you will understand. I'll explain. You remember how I talked about when I was little, I used to sit with myself and just watch other people, enjoy my cereal, and just be by myself and just be in my own energy? Well, doing that now as an adult has really helped me connect with others and connect with myself, meaning I am able to go wherever I want to and feel okay being by myself. When I was in high school, I would go to the grocery store by myself. I would go to parks alone. I would now as an adult go to cafes alone. I travel alone. I've traveled internationally by myself, and being able to sit with myself. I'm sorry, my plant. I had a plant over here. I just hit him. I'm sorry, Jeremy. Being able to be by myself and be with my energy, but also kind of look around at other people, has made me able to pinpoint good connections through bad connections. Again, sorry for using good or bad, but like not sorry at the same time, because we don't judge ourselves here. I can sit in places and feel lighthearted energy, or feel really like dark, heavy energy, and realize and figure out if I want to stay here, if I want to leave, if I want to say hi to this person, and it end up being a really, really nice chat with a stranger, or I make a new friend, because I'm able to make new friends when I have traveled across the world or across the country. It has helped me be in tune with that feeling, and it probably has saved my life. And on the other hand, and not only saved my life, but it helps me know who I want to connect with. Quick story time, like all my story times. I had an old coworker of mine who I met briefly, and as soon as I met them, I was just like, no, I don't know what it is, but I don't like you. Meaning I'm not going to interact with you above my means of my need as a coworker. Like, we're not friends. And he would invite me out a lot, and I'm like, I don't really want to be around you, and I don't know what it is yet, but I don't trust you. Lo and behold, some incidents have happened where he ended up being fired, and just this really bad things happened. And I said, I knew it. And he had other friends with him who happened to go down with him, who to be fired with him because of what they were into. And I was like, see, this is why I just love that connection. But again, let me continue. Even more so on listening to my body, I am now being told when I need to rest. And working on my YouTube channel and my business, Creative at Life, I am told when I need to rest. Like, I'll feel a certain type of way. I'm like, okay, I think I'm done working right now. Like, it'll just happen really quickly. Like, hey, you're done for the day. I'm like, okay, I'm done for the day. Hey, you need to take like a couple days off of this. I'm like, do I? Because if I'm being honest, one of the conditionings that I had was to work, capitalist mindset, grind, don't stop. And I'm being told by my intuition to stop. And what happens is when I rest, my creativity flows better. I get better ideas for my channel. I get better ideas for my business. For example, I was working on a YouTube channel and working on all my stuff for like my videos and coming up with ideas. And I was like, okay, you're done thinking for the day. Sit down, relax, maybe even watch some Netflix. That's what I was told, right? And I go on, I watch some Netflix, and guess what? one of the shows that I watched would help me come up with another idea for another talk, chance or chat that I should do, or a video idea or adventure that I should go on, all because I listened and just relaxed. If I didn't relax, I wouldn't have watched that Netflix show, I wouldn't have had the idea, and I wouldn't have more creative energy and ideas for this channel. I know it's a lot, but it's just one step at a time. And so as I'm getting those ideas and being more creative, I'm becoming more of who I always loved being, which is a talkative person who loves talking on camera, who loves being this crazy person. And without knowing or allowing myself to do that, without unlearning the things that told me to shut up sometimes, I wouldn't be doing this. And I believe my talks are going to help other people. But I wouldn't be here if I allowed people to tell me to shut up and not talk and basically tell me that what I have to say does not matter, that you're talking too much, that you're talking too little. I talk when I want, what I want, and how I want, and it's great. And those who are ready to receive and perceive me are going to do that in a healthy way. And on my hyper side, when I was doing too much, that's what's coming out on camera. That's what I was told, that I was doing too much, but I'm not. I'm being me. I'm being me. I am being me, and it feels so good to have this relationship with myself because it makes me realize. It makes me realize that all the things that were told to me, that all the things that I was doing was wrong, they were wrong. This is who I was always meant to be. This is who I should have been when I was little. So you can see how just simply unlearning and shedding conditioning that we have when we were younger, not only, I guess, transformed us, but it helps us recognize that who we've been, like who we were, who our way of being and acting and saying and thinking isn't wrong. It's never been wrong. Yes, we all have learning to do when it comes to certain things, but it doesn't mean it's always all wrong. So I ask you again, are you really becoming someone new? Or are you just recognizing who you have always been and recognizing that who you have always been isn't wrong and was never wrong? If you stayed this long, thank you. If you love this chat, please comment below that if you resonate with what I said or if you have any questions about what I said. And then take some of the reflection questions with you and maybe journal about them as well. Unlearning the conditioning and shedding some of the things that we were taught that has made us stray from ourselves helps us really dig into who we are and recognize who we are. It gives us a chance to really live a life that we want to as who we always are meant to be. And that is fucking beautiful. Until next time, bye.